Even if we ended right now, it'd be
bro, you're like, I'm not changing my life when I get out of here. I'm telling you right now, bro.
If somebody's struggling through that, right, and they're listening to your story and they're like, oh, okay, these are excuses, they're reasons, they're true, but they're not justifiable to make me stop working. How do you coach them or guide them to get over themselves, to get over the entitlement, to get over it's going to be hard, but it's so worth it? Like, how do you help somebody who's stuck there?
A good plan today is better than a perfect plan tomorrow. If you've got a decent plan, go today and learn. Execute like a motherfucker.
So far, my favorite guest, by the way. Out of all my... Are you a gambling man?
I'd like to.
I'm a gambling man, too. But sometimes we make these stupid bets in life. But the one time you should make the biggest bet is on yourself. So you got to give yourself a chance.
Love it. Good intro on that one. I didn't see that one actually coming. I was like, where's he going with this? Today we have Scott. Scott, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So excited to have you. For those who are jumping on and listening and they're thinking, who's this guy? Like, why should I listen to him? Give us a quick recap. What have you done? What's your ethos? Like, who are you? Why should somebody want to listen and learn from you during this episode?
It's a good question. I think there's probably a handful of people that aren't going to listen, that if your cup is full and you've run into them, we've all run into them, where you're not going to teach them anything. They know everything.
Yeah.
I can't help those folks. For the people who are listening to this podcast, the people that are interested in learning, interested in growing, then I think I have a couple of things I could share. If you are building a business and you feel like you got a steep climb and you feel like you can't get out of a hole, or even worse, you've tried and failed, and tried and failed, and you can't figure it out, I can help that person. I've done all of those things. If you feel like you've got a really steep hill to climb and you've dug yourself a personal hole because of maybe some personal failings or some personal challenges, I've been there. I think I've got some experiences that could help that person. If you need to build a business fast and you need marketing tools and AI tools and you need customers fast, I can help that person too. I've got some experience there.
Dude. So just
give this guy the entrepreneur crown.
I know. I was like, and I want to make sure that when people are listening to this, right, they know, okay, I've heard a lot of people say that, but like, what's your proof in the pudding? What's, if you don't mind sharing, what's the most successful company you've ever had?
I'll tell you about the most successful company I had. Was a $10 million agency, digital marketing agency, built it up from the ground, worked with companies like Ford and Chrysler, GM, and Home Depot. But the success wasn't that. 2018, I'm on stage in front of 1,000 of my industry peers, Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm accepting awards. A week or two earlier, Grant Cardone is in the front row of a workshop I'm doing. Dang. I felt like I was on top of the world.
Yeah.
I'm accepting awards. We beat Anheuser-Busch. We beat Oprah. My agency's at 10, 15 million bucks. We're going to 20. Life is good. On Monday, I walk into the office and I found out two of my largest clients had lost their business. I lost mine.
Dang. What year was this?
Overnight, 2018. Overnight, I'd lost everything. I was in the middle of a divorce. Wow. 3 weeks after that my daughter right there, is in the office with me. And it's the worst, you okay cussing?
Yeah.
Worst fucking day of my life as I watched 20 years of hard work all coming undone. I got a daughter who's really young, and she's there, and my attorney is shutting everything down, and I had to fire sale all my stuff.
Wow, dude.
I was a broken, beaten, destroyed human being. I lost my family, the only thing that I gave a shit about. I lost my business, the only thing that I gave a shit about. And now my family's come apart, and my identity as a man, as a provider, was shot to shit. And I think there's a lot of people in your audience, if they're building a business, they derive some sense of satisfaction. They derive some sense of identity out of what they accomplish, what they contribute to the men in their lives, the women in their lives, the people in their lives. And in that moment, I'd lost everything. So from that point on, it was, is it possible to build this thing back? How do I build it back? And worse,
bro, I'm gonna run through a wall right now. Shit! You're building up the store. Oh my God, it's about to be done, dude.
I wish I had that, because the truth is, and she would know this, the bank called about a week later. I'm on my couch laying just looking straight up, thinking, how do I get out of this? What's the way out of this? And the bank calls and says, I'd signed a line of credit. I'd signed a personal line of credit. We had a bunch of homes. I'd lost everything. I had one home left in the divorce, and the bank called and they said, you owe us $500,000 on this line of credit. No business, no money, no customers. We need to take your house if you can't start making payments. Wow. At that, I was looking for a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And I feel a little uncomfortable with my daughter here, but I will say it. I was looking for the exit. It was the tough period of my life. And so that's why I say if you have people in the audience that have faced setbacks, if they feel like they've dug themselves a hole, if they feel like they're behind on points, there's time, there's a way out, there's a way through. You have to rebuild. You have to take one step at a time. And for me, that next day, I went for a run and I started to imagine a way out. And I took one tiny step, one freaking micro step out. And for me, the number one answer was I actually accepted help. A buddy of mine called up. He said, "How you doing?" I said, you're at that point when somebody says, "Hey, how you doing?" And the real answer is not good.
Yeah.
But what do you say sometimes?
All things are good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good.
yeah.
Everything's good.
Yeah.
I chose to say, I'm not good. He came over. He left his party. It's 4th of July. He bangs on my door. I got $46 in my bank account. And I'm looking at a permanent solution to a temporary problem. He bangs on the door. He showed me pictures of my kids. And he said, "Bro, I know it's bad, but what if, two great questions." And I would ask people in the audience to ask this question: what if this was the challenge that could turn it around? Well, what if this is the door that if you walk through this, there's a miracle on the other side? And he got me to look at not the mountain I had to climb, but the cost of not climbing it. He showed me pictures of my kids and said, "You have to climb this thing. If nothing else, what do you want your kids to say?
Yeah.
This could be the greatest opportunity of your life. Don't let it pass you by."
Yeah.
He said, "I don't care what it is, you take the first step." And so that first step for me, I wish it was something really miraculous. The next morning I went up for a run and got some new momentum. And from there, in 88 days, I paid off 100% of the bank loan and set the new course.
Dude, that is insane.
You did it in 88 days, damn.
88 days.
88
days. I was
days.
still broke,
Yeah.
but I paid off the bank loan.
Yeah.
I paid off. I got new customers, and that then sent a message to my brain that said, "It's possible. It's possible. I can climb out of this one day at a time."
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to even slow it down a little bit, just that moment. And you might have already given the answers, but I think to repeat them or to expand upon them is so important, because I know so many of us that when we have hit whatever our definition of rock bottom has been, right, we've lost all the things we care for. Like, it is crazy to have those temptation thoughts. Like, I never suffered with depression, right? But I remember one time when I felt like I lost everything, I'm like driving on the freeway and I see a semi. I'm like, what if? And you're just like, dang, right? So I think so many of us have gone through these moments where you just feel like you've lost all hope, and then you carry yourself back up. And so you went for that run that brought you into a mindset to give yourself a chance to at least try. What did it look like from there? Like, how did you make yourself try, right? Because it sounds like you're at that point where you're so sick, you don't even want to give yourself medicine, but giving yourself medicine is going to make you feel better. How did you push through there?
There was a guy I met. He's called the Iron Cowboy. You ever heard of the Iron Cowboy?
Look him up
Iron
right
Cowboy.
up.
He's a man who did 50 Ironmans, 50 days across 50 states.
It's called Iron Cowboy.
Iron Cowboy.
50 marathons,
50 Ironmans
Ironmans in 50 days.
across
Is it
50
James
states.
Lawrence?
Consecutive
No.
days. James Lawrence.
Yeah.
Consecutive days?
So I had the chance to meet him. This is when I still had all my shit.
Yeah.
And I walked in, got another great story, but he was in the green room. I'm in marketing, so I walked up to the guy who was managing the green room. I wanted to meet this guy. So I just said, "Hey, I'd like to do an interview. I'm interviewing James Lawrence." And he said, "Oh, okay." I had kind of a clipboard. I had some stuff. I had some equipment with me. He said, "All right, go on right in." And I'm sitting there with James Lawrence. He was giving a big speech, and he was one of the main speakers at this big event. So I asked him, when you couldn't take another step, because I watched the movie on Netflix, when you couldn't take another step, what was it that went through your mind? What got you to take that step?
Yeah.
And he said, there was a time when my body was beaten, my mind was beaten. I'm on day 30. My feet are torn apart. My body's torn apart. I couldn't think about doing another 20 Ironmans. So what I thought about was just taking that one single perfect step. My entire focus was on one step. And I was thinking about that. And as I went for the run, I went back to something so basic. I first started thinking, what would be that first step for me? And the first step is always get a plan. It doesn't have to be a great fucking plan. Just get a plan. Figure out what tools you're going to use to execute that plan. Get the best tools you possibly can, whether it's AI, whatever you've got at your disposal, and get a coach. Have accountability. Those three things, Tony Robbins talks about those, Grant Cardone talks about those things. Every leader, it's nothing new.
Yeah.
Get a plan, get the tools, get coaching, accountability. Because I'm a backslider. If I don't have accountability, I ain't following through. I'm accountable as a motherfucker right now with morning programs. She knows 5:30 in the morning, I've got an accountability group. I got 3:30 accountability group. 3:30 in the morning, I got an accountability group just to get up and WhatsApp 3 of my buddies that are getting up at 3:30. But not everybody needs
Mark
that.
Wahlberg?
Everybody
Him
needs
and Grant
that, but
Cardone,
Yeah.
all of them are on the
plan,
thread.
tools, accountability. That's the formula.
Damn. One of the things that stands out to me is the fact that in this moment where everything external is not motivation now, and you're having to dig deep to hyper focus on that one extra inch you're going to move forward in your life, what stands out to me, and I'd love for you to expand upon this, that moment was a product of all the years of exposure, of experience you've had, of mindset, accountability. Like, that was all a sum and a product of everything in the past. And so I think that's just super beautiful, right? Because we don't know what we need in the moments when we need them most. And right there, you just were able to push through because of all the other things that led up to that moment as well for you, both positive and negative.
I think, and there's one thing I would be remiss if I didn't mention it. It was I asked for help and I got help.
That's
I'm a
so good.
50-year-old man. I lost all my stuff, and I was flat on my back. I was destroyed. I was torn apart as a human being. My identity was on the floor. And I wish I could say, you know, I was just gung-ho and that's the way I was made.
Yeah.
And I'm a pretty optimistic guy, but I was destroyed. What helped me was actually being vulnerable enough to say I need help. And so if anybody's out there and they're so immersed in social media, and I'm a big fan of a lot of what Andrew Tate says and a lot of these other folks. There's a guy named Garrett White, and there's some really amazing figures out there that are very self-reliant, strong people that have a really cool message, I think. Yeah. And I think, I don't know enough about their message to know if they didn't mention this or they have mentioned this, but for me, part of it was being open and vulnerable about saying, look, I do need help. I'm not doing great right now. Because I think people miss that. And for me, I was able to say that I had the wisdom, the courage, the strength, whatever it was, or the weakness, I don't know, to say that. And my buddy freaking banged on my door, and that was a conversation that changed my life forever.
Yeah.
Forever.
Do you think it was your daughter that helped keep really push
no question.
the fuel?
No question.
Like without
the
your
why.
kid, would it be hard?
The why was my buddy. He said to me at one point, he's kind of given me. He says, well, there's two parts of it. He goes, one, I was so focused on what I'd lost. Well, sometimes we get super fixated on what we don't have, what the hill we've got to climb, the exercise, the weight we have to lose, the all this stuff, and it feels heavy, and it feels dark, and it feels deep, and it feels distant. But he got me to focus on the cost of not trying, And what he started off saying is that, first of all, let's take inventory of all the stuff you do have, because I was so focused on what I'd lost and the life that I had. He just got rid of that, and he said, okay. You got 20 years in the business. You got all your contacts. And he was asking me questions, just rhetorical questions. How long you got in the business? 20 years. Do you have your contacts? Yeah. Do you still have expertise in marketing? Yeah. But then he finally did the magic for me. He tapped into the why. And Simon Sinek talks about that.
Yeah.
And he said, and he sees a picture of my 2 kids. And he hit right at the jugular.
Yeah.
He took a picture of my kids and he goes, what do you want your kids to say about this moment in your life? Do you want your kids to say, this is what crushed my dad? This is what broke him? And he just never recovered. I was like, no, fuck that. That isn't going to be me. He goes, well, you have a fucking decision right now to make for your kids. Step up. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm ready to run through a wall. I'm like, I will do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
If you fail, what do you want your kids to say? I want to be proud of me. I want to be proud of me no matter what. I will do whatever it takes because I want to be, if I got nothing left, I want to be proud of me.
Yeah.
And that could have a legacy effect. That could have a generational impact. And man, he lit something in me and he got me to tap into my why.
Yeah.
Everybody has that why. Everybody has that thing where it's like that thing that just ignites you, that turns you on. There's a guy named Tim Grover. He coaches Kobe Bryant back in the day. Kobe Bryant. He talks about that light. He goes, when he's talking to somebody, he's like, if he's talking to men, and he goes, he can touch on different things. All of a sudden, he figures out what's going to be that light switch for men that's just going to make him drive through a freaking wall. That's what he's looking for with champions. He's looking for that thing, and once it's on, get out of men's way.
Yeah.
He's gonna go through whatever he wants, and that's what my buddy Anthony did. He flipped the switch, and then I could see he saw me. He's like, all right, we're good, bro. I'll see you tomorrow. Call me if you need anything. And I was like, dude, I was like an inferno. I was like, even if I go down, I'm.
So
I'm
you were talking about your plan. So I think that's what a lot of people who are trying to build a career or flopped and try to start again. Tell me, I would like to know, like, how did you format your plan? Like, what was like, okay,
so easy.
What was your ingredients? Or
So easy.
How'd you put it together?
The metaphor is this: we all have a plan to get a plan for getting healthy. You can find 1,000 different plans online, right? You can find 1,000. There's 1,000. You could go to ChatGPT and say, what are the 6 elements of a good marketing plan?
Yeah.
Have a target, have a goal, have a budget. Decide what are the 2 or 3 things that you need to do to accomplish that goal. What's your overarching strategy? Tactically, what are you going to do? And then get a calendar, take action. The plan doesn't have to be perfect. People get fucked up when they go, I need the perfect plan, so I'll start next Thursday after 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Horseshit. A good plan today is better than a perfect plan tomorrow. If you've got a decent plan, go today and learn. Execute like a
So far, my favorite guest, by the way. Out of all my guests.
Because I wrote it down, and I do this in my presentations, in my workshops. I show my plan. It's just like it's scratched out.
Yeah.
It's 7 sentence. It's Jay Conrad Levinson's guerrilla marketing plan. I've been doing it for 20 years for my clients. I was like, geez, I'm a marketing guy. I'm going to do this for myself. I wrote, who's my target audience? I wrote down, I want 100 entrepreneurs and I want 1 Ford client back. If I do that and I set a goal, I want this much money, I want this. I set the goal. I wrote it down on just a piece of paper. That was my plan.
Yeah.
And then the tools were, I'm going to use Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. I'm going to let the algorithms do it. My strategy was education. I'm just going to teach everything I know, put it all out there, post it. I had 0 budget. And then ultimately, accountability. So now remember, I'm the guy in Las Vegas, so full of myself, accepting these awards, and I'm talking, and I'm teaching Grant Cardone, and he's in the front row, and I'm thinking, I'm on fire. And now I'm completely bust. So I went in to my dad. My dad had an office right here in Newport Beach. And he goes, son, you could have a chair in my office. Dude, I swear to God, I have a picture of this on my social channels. I go in, and he goes, at least it's an office. It's a chair wedged between 2 filing cabinets. 2 filing cabinets. When he would get something out of the filing cabinet, I'd have to duck. Remembers that. My daughter remembers that. I'd have to duck. I would, like, the soy sauce was here and the hot sauce was here. I had this hard wooden chair, and I'm in there. And that day it hits me. I'm like, plan, tools, accountability. I said to my sister, I said, will you take a picture? She was in there. I said, will you take a picture of me sitting right here, wedged in between 2 filing cabinets? This is the most humiliating, humbling, authentic thing I've ever done in my life, where I'm putting myself out there. Take a picture. I posted it online. I said, this is my new office. Remember that guy, 10 million in sales, winning all these awards? This is my new office. I've lost everything. Everybody knew anyways. You hear the grapevine what's happening with, hey, how's that guy coming? Oh, he didn't do so great.
Yeah.
Everybody knows. I posted online and said, over the next 90 days, I'm going to build it back. I'm going to execute a plan. I posted everything online. And dude, when I went home that night, I was like, what did I do? This is horrible.
Yeah.
But there's no way out. I'm committed. And so I posted it, and every day I was posting online. I would go to meetings, I would post it. I would get new clients, I'd post it. Tiny clients. My first client was a pool company, paid me $500 a month. And I took it, and I was like, my new client, $500. So $500,000 minus $500, I'm making progress. But accountability was everything.
Is that
And
why
was hard.
the picture with the teller was so important?
Is it online right now?
Yeah. You saw
Is
that?
it online now?
Yeah, it's
I'm
online right
seeing it
now. Yeah. So the
I'm
picture with
looking
the
at it right
teller. Picture was 88 days later. I walk in.
That
with
picture was 88 days later
88
from
days-
that moment?
From
Whole-
June 12th-ish, June 15th, the middle of June.
Scott, how
is
do you
when
pronounce your last name?
Empingham. Scott B. Empingham.
Is
on,
it-
on Instagram? If you scroll down. Empingham? Yeah. MP? Oh, there we go. Right there.
I guess this
That's
picture.
it.
Have you seen it yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you scroll
seen
down
all-
far enough, you'll see it somewhere on there. I walked in. It was, I don't know what the check was for, but it was like $5,000 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But it was the total. And I have great relationships with my local bank, and they were looking at me. I remember when we first met, they were like, "We got to take your house, and here's the paperwork. Do you want to think about it? Like, you have no business, you have no job." I said, "No, let me just take the paperwork home," because it was to sign your house and just satisfy the loan. I walk in, I paid it off, and I said, "Do you mind if I just take a picture?" And then she goes, "I'd prefer you didn't." She turned her head and she goes, "Really?" And I said, "I had to."
Yeah, there's no way
I
you
had
can't.
to.
Dude,
And
especially
so-
marketing.
And the worst part was I would go back and I would say, like, to some people who aren't entrepreneurs, you guys are entrepreneurs, anybody out there that's an entrepreneur who would know the pride and satisfaction of just being even. I still had like $48 in my bank, and my kids say, "Where are we going to go for like Christmas this year?" I'm like, I don't know. But I paid off the bank, and that to me was one of the most satisfying things in the world. I'm keeping my house.
Yeah.
I'm on the way. It's possible. It's possible.
I love that.
So back to who should listen? I don't know if anybody should listen, but if you feel like the odds are long, if you feel like you have an uphill climb, if you feel like you're in a freaking hole that you can't get out of, one way or another, you could get out of it.
Yeah.
I'm writing the forward for a friend of mine. He wrote a book. 98% of his body was burned. Amazing dude, Anthony Rosano. He's an entrepreneur. Wow. He's gone through incredible things. Whatever you're going through, there's somebody that went through worse, tougher things. And I had the privilege. He called me this morning, said, would you write the forward for my book? I said, I would be honored. And during this whole process, I remember reading his book saying, dude, I've got it easy, man.
Yeah.
I've got it freaking easy.
I think that actually dovetails right into my next question, because trying to think of what are the objections when people hear these speeches, right? Or they hear these stories and these encouragements, they're like, yeah, but you don't know what's happened in my market.
Yeah.
You don't know the hurdles I have.
Yeah.
Like, it was easy to do that when, they might be thinking 10 years ago before social media was as popular, and they're seeing these uphill battles, and there's excuses and also reasons that are making them doubt.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you push through that? And did you experience any of that as well?
Yeah.
Like, how did you get that past your mind?
Yeah. Well, one, I'm old enough to know that excuses, though valid, don't change anything. Like, that was a lesson. Anybody listening, they can hang on to their excuses, and nobody's going to rip those excuses out of there. Eventually, they will have to come to their own conclusion that the excuses are completely valid. You're too young, you're too old, you're too this, you're too that, you're too this. The cards are stacked against you in some way, probably. Fine. So what? So you can accept that, and that will be your reality forever. Or you could say, fuck it, I'm going to defy the odds. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I was a 50-year-old man who's starting over, who's thinking, who's going to hire me? I've got 2 kids out to raise, and I'm single. I don't know how to do shit.
Yeah.
Like, I was married for 20 years, and all of a sudden I'm figuring out, like, they've got to go to this class and this class and this class, and I'm making private school payments. I had all kinds of excuses, and finally accountability. I'm with my business coach, and I'm telling him my kind of sob story, and I'm drinking at the time. I don't drink anymore. And I'm saying to him, well, I can't do this, I can't do this. And he goes, hey, let me see your calendar. He runs, he's Vietnamese, he runs like 6 businesses. Enormously successful dude. He's my business coach. He goes, let me see your calendar. I show him my calendar. I'm like, I'm up at 5:30, I'm doing this and doing this. I've got to take my kids here, and I got to pick them up here. And he goes, so wait a second, well, let me get this straight. You have a startup, okay? You're spending 6 hours-ish on your business, and then a little bit over here at night. He said, Scott, it's not enough time. I said, what do you want me to do? He goes, get up earlier. Okay, how much earlier? He goes, how much do you need? So I said, well, I could get up at 3:30. He goes, try that. Because, like, no excuse. This guy, by the way, he came from Vietnam. He was shot at. I mean, this guy he's got every excuse in the world. He came here with no English, no money. What, like, dude, I've got everything going for me, and so I got no excuses. So he was like, just talking to him, Hal Lamb, no excuses with Hal.
Yeah.
There's no excuse with him. And so he said 3:30, and I was like, 3:30? Holy shit. Okay. But I love this guy, and I knew he was pointing me in the direction, so I was like, I'm going to do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And so if somebody gets to the point when they're sick and tired of those fucking excuses, that they buy into that story, they buy into that thing that's holding it back, and they finally say, that could be true, but it's time to put that shit away and do whatever it takes. If and when they get there, a whole world opens up to them. Then they wake up, man.
Yeah,
and they wake up and they see possibility everywhere. They go, wait a sec, I could wake up earlier. And by the way, I started putting my kids to bed at 8:30 because I needed to sleep. And all of a sudden, 3:30 was looking a lot better.
So when you speak to aspiring entrepreneurs, do you see that potentially a lot of them, especially with the way that it seems the tone of the next generation is, there's this aspect where, no, it's not supposed to be that hard. It's supposed to be easier. There's this, I deserve this entitlement piece. If somebody's struggling through that, right, and they're listening to your story and they're like, oh, okay, these are excuses, they're reasons, they're true, but they're not justifiable to make me stop working. How do you coach them or guide them to get over themselves, to get over the entitlement, to get over it's going to be hard, but it's so worth it? Like, how do you help somebody who's stuck there?
There's 2 types of folks I've found generally out there, whether they're millennials or whatever it is.
Yeah.
There's the coachable and the uncoachable. If they are hungry, humble, and smart, they're coachable.
Yeah.
They're the people, I don't care what generation it is, all generations, old people like me are saying, oh, the generation, like all that stuff, they said the same thing about me. The greatest generation said the same thing about me. I'm the X generation. And I'm sure they looked at me and my privileged, all that kind of stuff. And I was a screw up in college and high school. I pissed away a lot of opportunities. But there's 2 types of people. There's a humble, hungry, and smart people. You can help those people because they're open. They're like, show me. And I've seen young people like that, and they're 18, 20, whatever it is. I've seen people hustle. I was just at an event, I was speaking with Tim Grover at an event called Relentless in Palm Springs. Dude. There was a young kid. He was Garrett White's son. This kid was humble. He was hungry. He was smart. He was getting up. He was exercising. He was getting after it. And the first thing in the morning, dude was a badass. And then I also know people that are so stuck on, well, this is against me, and this is against me, and this is against me. I got no time to help those people. They can't be helped. You know what'll help them? When they hit the wall over and over and over, and they finally
gotta wake up.
When they wake up, and they go, you know what? Life will dish them out all they need to give them the lessons.
I think a lot of real estate agents right now, they're not waking up. They're like stuck, but they don't want to do social. I'm like, they ask me why do I do social? Like, because I want to get paid. Because the old school stuff doesn't work anymore because I want to get paid. Like, people are so like, oh, because I can't do this, I have this right, I gotta have this right. It's like a laundry list. Oh. It's crazy how big the laundry list is.
And they say, well, I won't look good. One of the things I show, I have a course. I have a 12-week kind of a boot camp, right? A 12-week boot camp, an online course, and a live group coaching call. One of the things, I don't do this as often as I should, but I show the first video of Gary Vee. Everybody knows Gary Vaynerchuk, right?
The wine library?
The wine library, yeah. His very first, you could Google it. Go to YouTube, Gary Vaynerchuk's first wine library video. It looks like he shot it on like a Nokia phone. He's got this big graphic that goes up over his face. It's so bad. The lighting's bad. The sound is bad. But he did it. He took that one first imperfect step, and then he took another one and another one and another one and another one.
Dude, you're such a redemption story. Business, personal life. You shared too that you remarried your first wife?
Yeah.
You're a G,
that.
bro. You're a G.
Yeah.
Dude, right?
Yeah, and it was the biggest blessing in my life. Our marriage was destroyed. And if there is a man out there who is asking the one toughest question a married man sometimes is, should I stay or should I go? I've got definitely another podcast, something to share there. I lost the best thing in my life and justified it in my mind that we were different people. We had different values. We had different goals. And our marriage broke apart. I was a huge reason for that. I felt totally justified, self-righteous. And several years in, I made some big changes in my life. I had to, Goggins talks a lot, accountability mirror. One day my life changed. I'm reading his book, Can't Hurt Me. So chapter number 1. You remember what chapter number 1 is?
His childhood?
Yes. But he talks about the accountability mirror. He says what he did, his childhood, but one day he looked in the mirror and he had a real honest-to-God conversation with himself. And do you like what you see? How often do you look into the mirror, dead set into the mirror, and look at yourself dead-eyed and say, are you proud of yourself? Are you proud of what you're doing? Are you proud of how you're behaving in all aspects of your life? Not just the stuff we put on social media, but all aspects of your life. When nobody's looking, are you proud of yourself? I was like, I don't want to fucking do that. And I did it. Because I wanted to get in and dig around and see what was going on. And I had to make some serious changes. And I made some changes. I ended a relationship I was with, a woman I was with. I ended that relationship. I quit drinking. It was a process. For me, I went and I got baptized. I decided if I was going to rebuild my life, what better time than to build a spiritual foundation that made sense to me. So I found something that worked for me. I called a buddy of mine. I said, I want to get baptized. And he was like, whoa, like, okay, awesome. Well, let's get started. And so I said, I want to build, like real estate, I want to build on good mud. Because I will fuck it up again if I don't have a strong foundation. I guarantee I'll build it in mud. I'm not a smart man, so I need a good, solid foundation. I wanted that. And the miracle started to happen, man. I made changes in my life. And I started just co-parenting with my wife, she was engaged at the time.
Really?
She was engaged.
Mr. Steal Your Girl.
Yeah, Mister, that was my girl first.
She's a G. And I started talking to her about just how do we do a better job with the kids. And she was looking at me like,
who are you?
Like, you've made some changes. And it was gradual. It's like kids growing up, and all of a sudden there's changes. And I don't know how it happened other than I made some changes in my life. We started talking about the kids. And one day we're at dinner, and she said, are we on a date? I said, I think we're on a date. And I went, wow. And so she had to make some changes in her life. Yeah. She ended that relationship for another probably 6 months. We hung out and literally took it super slow. And then on Valentine's Day, I asked her to marry me with the kids there.
Bro.
And
but did she know, or like it was coming?
She suspected. I think she suspected because I told the kids about a month early. I said, don't say anything, but I'm going to ask Mom to marry me. And Nola, would you be the bridesmaid? And Nick, my 10-year-old son, I said, would you be my best mate?
Damn. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane, man. Dude,
That's
bro,
so cool.
you are the comeback kid like no other, man.
My son was my best man.
That
Wow.
is so cool.
Yeah.
That is so
Yeah.
cool, man. You know, as far as last closing thoughts, what do you want to kind of expand on? Do you want to expand what advice you think the future has so people are encouraged there, or do you want to just give a encouragement from everything I mean, dude, this is excellent. Even if we ended right now, it'd be
Yeah,
totally
bro.
perfect.
You're like, I'm like changing my life when I get out of here. Dude. I'm like telling you right now, bro.
You know, I think I would just say this: if there's anybody listening, that I'll end it the way I started it. If you feel like you're behind on points, if you feel like you got an uphill climb, if you feel like you're in a hole that you can't get out of, you can,
Yeah.
and you will, if you let go of the excuses and the stories, as valid as they may be. Find something that inspires you. Ask the question, well, what if I could? And take the first imperfect step. If that imperfect step involves marketing or AI, I'd invite you to go to Smart90, the number 90, social.com. Go on there. I'll even give you the code. This is for people in an entrepreneur organization.
Yeah.
If you use the code SMART90, you get a 90% discount
Damn.
on our 12-week online course, 12-week boot camp. Every week you show up. There's accountability. On our live group coaching calls, you get a free trial for our software.
Damn.
But if you need help with your marketing and you've been saying, well, I need to get started and I just don't need to, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to get it all done. I will walk you through. Anybody who's listening, get a 30-day money-back guarantee. You got zero excuses not to try it. You got a 90% discount if you do continue on. But I want there to be no excuses. And so we put this program together. We said, what would be all the excuses? Well, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to get it done. I don't have any accountability. It may not be worth it. Fine. 30 days. Try it. Show up. Try everything. If you think it sucks, money back.
Damn.
If you don't, then get the 90% discount. You just have no excuses now. Now the question is
90%.
whether they believe in themselves.
Damn.
Are they going to follow through?
I'm surprised you didn't call it the 88 days because
I know. I
just
decided 90. I'll give you the extra, 2 days.
One of the biggest things you'll see in this podcast, in this episode, is that there's a hinge moment. And in that hinge moment, it came from somebody outward giving a word of encouragement, being the glasses that brought in focus and clarity to somebody who needed a little bit of help seeing a little clearer. And if you're thinking to yourself, I don't have that person, I haven't grown up with any of those type of people, I don't have anybody who cares about me enough or is wise enough to try to help me clear the fog that I have in front of me, I hope you hear this episode and you get encouraged to see that there's a perspective in life that screams at you, you're worthy, you're worth giving yourself a chance, and the opportunities in front of you are opportunities you can seize and mountain peaks that you can climb and a lot of successes you can create for yourself. Give yourself a chance.